And we live. It's time for another Woodward Pistons Table Talk.
Yes, sir.
Baby.
Let's go.
Dude, so funny story. Get this. I wish I was lying. I literally had it do the screw up again earlier tonight.
Chipmunks.
The Chipmunks
Part
came
two?
back, dude.
Oh,
The
good.
problem isn't going away. So this chipmunk stuff is just gonna stick around, man.
Man,
Oh my gosh. But first of all,
tragic.
gentlemen, we got King and Deuce, myself in the building. Woodward Pistons Table Talk. Shout out to our guy Kool-Aid. Hope you're doing good tonight, man. We're just hopping on, and we're just filling our time of the week together, man. Hopping on
Yes,
before
sir.
the finals start and talking some basketball.
Yeah.
So first of all, we'll get into the finals in a minute, but there's a lot of interesting Pistons conversations that have been happening over the last couple of weeks. I want to start with one I didn't mention before the show, but this is, guys, Jalen Duren is coming up in my comments a lot. This is a guy that people like. There are some people clamoring saying, we got to find our way to walk out with Duren at some point in this draft. Now, personally, I would say go get the big out of the free agency market. That, in my opinion, is a little bit more of a sure thing. However, I do like the argument for the cheaper option. Now, I will say I like Duren, but not at 5. So my guy came in here and came right and said, no, we're not talking about Duren at 5. But let's say the Pistons get that 7th pick. Do you think that's someone that should be on their radar, or are you with me on maybe they should try and get a big man out of the free agency market instead?
I'll say, at 5, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But looking at the goals that the Pistons have, which is adding a big and a guard, I would say if we do trade to 7, we get a guard at 5, and at 7 we get someone like Duren. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
But I still rather go with the proven free agent route. I still rather, we look for a guy to come in and start. I think we go on free agency anyway, whatever the situation is. But I'll take him at 7.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Deuce, what are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I think 5 is a little too high considering who was going to be available at 5.
Right.
There's so much talk about there is no surefire number 1 in this draft.
Yeah.
Because it's literally that close. We knew last season with Cade, he was the consensus number 1. It was nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
But this year, because of the talent that's going to be there at 5, you think about Ivy, who might be there, Sharp, who might be there at 5, Keegan Murray might be there at 5. These are quality guys. So I think because of who is in this year's draft, I think at 5, that's a little bit dangerous.
Well, and also, listen, Keegan Murray is very much still in play. And, I know I saw Laz tweet today, what should people say to James Edwards III when eventually Keegan Murray's drafted as a Piston? And I'm not going to lie, the more I think about it, like I saw edits of Keegan Murray in a Pistons jersey, and I'm like, man, if he's on the board at 5, do you guys see a scenario where Troy Weaver passes up on Keegan Murray if he's on the board at 5? Because the more I think about it, the more I kind of question if he would, because I don't think he would.
I would say
it depends who's on the board, maybe.
Yeah.
It depends. It depends, man. What happens with the Kings. I would say that.
The Kings are a mystery, dude.
Yeah, right.
So left field every year.
The win now Kings. We'll see what they do. Unless Troy is totally in love with Keegan Murray, I think we end up with a Ivy type of situation if he's available at that 5 spot. But if he's gone and you got Keegan Murray and Shaden, based on the history of Troy Weaver, I think it'll be hard for him to pass on Keegan, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And there's a lot of things I like with his game. Deuce, what do you think about a guy like Keegan Murray? I mean, we talked about before. I mean, we've talked about how NBA ready he is, but I think his upside doesn't maybe get enough love either.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think Keegan Murray is a lot like Cade. I think he's a little bit, not to the same extent, but a bigger version where you can put him on any team and he's going to find a way to be successful. He reminds me a lot of somebody like Isaiah Livers. You think about Isaiah Livers for a little bit. He was out for most of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So to be able to come into his rookie year, if you think about it, he came in playing very well as a rookie. He came in knocking down shots. It didn't seem like the jitters were there. He found a way to be successful. He found a way to help his team when he was on the floor because of his IQ. And I look at a Keegan Murray, and he seems like that kind of guy. He's not going to hurt you on the floor. He may not help you to the extent you may need it at a certain point, but he's not going to hurt you. So I think he's the kind of guy that somebody like Troy would like.
Yeah, absolutely. What up, big dog? Thank you so much for coming in. A lot of questions coming in. First of all, King, are you feeling okay? I mean, this guy.
Ivy. If for some reason they think I hate Ivy, it's not the case, man.
Yeah. It's just, listen, it's all about, in my opinion, the pick at 5 is less about the guy available, but it's more so the philosophy of what you're getting. Because, you could really either go for that backcourt duo, like we've talked about before, the route that might be the fan favorite route as far as what would be flashiest and what would probably be the most fun draft pick would be a Jaden Ivey or Shaedon Sharpe. Let's not deny that. That is objectively the most fun pick, right?
For sure.
But then you can also go at the reliable modern NBA positionless, 3-and-D type guy like Keegan Murray, who's a surefire, who can come in and start day one, or he can come in and come off the bench as well. He's a guy that fits in, and the idea of having 2 Saddiq Bey type wings is just terrifying. Because what's scarier than Saddiq Bey, gentlemen? I would argue 2 Saddiq Beys is scarier than one.
And when you think about with Keegan Murray, a lot of people think that would signal the exit of Jeremy Grant, who's a great player. But when you think about it, I don't think Keegan Murray coming in day one being as good as Jeremy Grant. It's going to take some time, I think, with him to be able to make that jump.
Yeah.
So I think that may be telling that Troy really is willing to be patient here. Because I think that there is a gap between Jeremy Grant and day one Keegan Murray. So that will be admitting to, okay, we're not in a rush. We're not trying to win a championship next year. Let's take our time. I think that would be a signal.
Yeah, absolutely. And also you look at teams like Boston, Deuce. I mean, like, how many wings do they have? You can never have enough. Like, you can never have enough guys like Grant Williams, because the thing that's special about guys like Keegan Murray, guys like Grant Williams, guys like these versatile 3-and-D wings is that if you have guys that can guard multiple positions, it takes out the necessity for positions altogether, because you can really go out and put what you believe is your best lineup on the court, a lineup that can really do just about anything. And that's where the NBA is going, ladies and gentlemen. Again, we talk about it. It might sound corny. It might sound like the hipster thing to say. Like, it's not like that guy with the glass, like, oh, well, I think positionless basketball is actually going to be the thing of the future. It's like, it just is, because it's here. Yeah. It's happening right now. Watch the finals. That's what you're seeing.
Absolutely.
So I got a curveball situation.
All right.
Let's hear it.
I like your king curveballs. So throw it my way, King.
First and foremost, I want to say this. Guy, the Shaedon Sharpe type of thing as far as excitement. In the NBA, excitement players can get you fired. I'm just going to say that. This scenario is kind of crazy. So we're at 5. We make a trade and we get 7. And we go Keegan Murray at 5. And then Mathurin at 7. And then going free agency and at a big.
Well, dude, here's the crazy thing. And this might sound nuts. Imagine a scenario where the Pistons get Keegan Murray at 5 and then somehow still walk away with Shaedon Sharpe at 7, because it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility that Shaedon Sharpe ends up at 7. We did our mock draft on From Half Court last week for the pod. And I saw some comments. I saw someone say, worst mock draft ever, which made me realize it was my first ever mock draft I did, because I was like, I knew that comment was coming somewhere. But anyway, in our mock draft, we had Shaedon Sharpe going 7 to Portland, which was really interesting, because it was like, man, you realize just how many good players there are. I mean, personally, if Sharpe's at 6, do you see that being a Pacers type player? That just doesn't seem like a player that the Pacers would draft
No,
to me.
no, I don't think he fits there.
No, he doesn't fit
But
the mold of what Pacers basketball is, because Pacers basketball is the antithesis of exciting. So anything that's exciting, I would think that would not be their go-to.
So wait, who's their 5?
Who's their 5? Who's their
Who was
starting
there?
5?
In the draft, in the mock draft, who do you guys have at 5?
We at 5, we had Jaden Ivey. We had Keegan Murray going at 4.
Keegan going to wow.
But listen, in my opinion,
so the Kings are not going to king this year. They're going to actually
well, I wanted to go, what would make the most sense? That's what I wanted to do. I was like, all right, in my head, how do I see this going? If it was going from the Sean Murphy, this is how the draft should go.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think should happen. But listen, man, the Kings are going to, the more I think about it, I'm like, of course they're going to draft Jaden Ivey. Of course they're going to go get the literal De'Aaron Fox copy and have
That's
2
what I'm
of
banking
them.
on. That's what I'm banking on. They do it every year.
Dude, it's
you traded away, Halliburton, and then you go and get Ivy.
Brother, it's like
And I just
when
think
the
about
Lions
Bagley.
traded Darius Slay to go get Jeff Okuda. It was like we traded in a boat and we were like, oh, it could be a boat. Like, you don't know where it could be a great corner.
Exactly.
It's like, we already had one, idiot. Like, why?
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, dude. So yeah, that's why. And the other thing, that's kind of like my thing with Duren too. Because people are like, oh, well, he could be this or could be that. It's like, well, maybe, but I could go get DeAndre Ayton right now, and everything of what DeAndre Ayton is and could be is better than what Jalen Duren's ever going to be in the league. No disrespect to Duren, but DeAndre Ayton, in my opinion, is a top 5 big in the NBA right now.
His offensive game is very underrated, I believe.
He is one of the few players that we've seen over the past 2 years take over playoff games with his offense and his defense.
Yep.
So that's
I think if he has, I think he's going to come here with a chip on his shoulder, because I think he's going to have more of an opportunity on offense to really be able to thrive here. I don't think he was getting that where he was. He was the third option, and being the first pick, in the NBA draft, that can kind of make you feel away. So I think he's going to come here really looking to prove something.
Oh, heck yeah, man. Absolutely. And let's be honest, you can never go wrong with having a great big. Listen, people are talking about the big man position is dead. The hell with that.
No, man.
Number 1 and 2 in MVP voting this year, bigs.
Yep.
You look at the finals matchup right now. Sure, neither of their bigs are stars, but Robert Williams is one of the most essential pieces to what the Celtics are doing. Kevon Looney, essentially with his rebounding, was a difference-making piece that made it that Dallas couldn't even be in the series at any point. So it's one of those things where the big man is not going away anytime soon. And listen, listen, he's ugly. I'm not gonna. Okay, he's not ugly, but he definitely. Listen, he's got that Greg Oden to him, where he looks like he's 60. He honestly looks like he should be out there in a jogger suit that looks like he's already been sweating for 7 hours, like you just started playing 5 minutes ago. You know what I'm talking about? You know those people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
looks like that guy.
Did you guys ever see that Greg Oden commercial? That tragic commercial where it's just he's talking to that old lady, and she's like, "Do you play basketball?" And he was just like, "I used to." And she's like, "I'll beat you." And he just kind of walked away and laughed, and just kind of wow. It was tragic to watch.
I'll tell you one thing, he was hilarious on commercials. I would say that.
Yeah.
What up, Owen? But yeah, no, seriously. But no, I do kind of want to shift the conversation. Speaking of DeAndre Ayton, looking at the free agency market for the Pistons this summer. Now, obviously, we have the finals starting in a couple minutes, so I do want to get your predictions on that. We probably won't be live for too long, I would imagine. We're all gonna want to watch the finals, right?
Yes, sir.
So we'll be live. We'll probably do a 45-minute stream. I'm thinking probably till about 9:15. I'd say that's a good amount of content. You know what I mean? That gives us a good amount. But
shout out to everybody that showed up. Appreciate y'all.
Absolutely. Yeah. Appreciate y'all for showing up, man. Everyone, each and every week, man. I'm blown away. This number just keeps going up all the time. You guys show up and are ready to go. We love y'all. So first of all, shout out and love to Kool-Aid. We love and miss you, brother.
Kool-Aid.
Also, be sure to follow Woodward Pistons, subscribe to the channel. Be sure to follow and be tuned in. They got the pod that they're doing each and every week. Since Kool-Aid isn't here, shout out to him, man, for everything he's doing with Woodward Pistons. He's never going to be the one to ask for credit, so I'm going to give it to him when he doesn't have the opportunity to ask not to. He does a lot of work for Woodward Pistons. He loves the Pistons community and absolutely puts out for the Pistons community. So please, everyone, give shout out and praise to Kool-Aid in the chat and in the comments, because he's a great dude. Absolutely. And we love him. So with that, guys, let's talk a little bit about free agency. There's obviously the big names out there, right? Like I know a name that's being floated out there a little bit more and more is Zach LaVine. And listen, dog, should we break King? Do you want me to do it, or do you want? Should I just step aside and let you?
They already don't like him and Kate already don't like each other.
Listen, man, I'm not breaking the bank on Mr. Injury Prone, bro. I'm not doing it. That is so Pistons, man. No. This man just had surgery again.
Yeah. No. King, not just any surgery. Non-invasive arthroscopic knee surgery. Hey, Pistons fans, when have we heard that before? With Blake Griffin, literally 3 years ago. And I'm not saying it's the same situation. However, I think Zach LaVine, I would argue, he's the tier of all-star that Blake Griffin was, where he's a guy that can come in and put up 20-something points a game, but at the end of the day, it's not going to do much on the winning column, because even this year in Chicago, when they surrounded him with stars, who was the true star in Chicago this year? Was it not DeMar DeRozan?
It was DeMar, for sure.
He came on. He was a big guy. Chicago and took his team within a year.
Yeah, exactly. And I heard there were rumors that LaVine wasn't very fond of being a number 2 and wanted to go somewhere else. So
I know Atlanta is a team that's been listed. Which, by the way, if that's a team he went to, I would not take that team seriously on the defensive end at all. But I mean, let's be honest. Aid and LaVine would be a fun duo. However, King, why is it not the right time to sign a guy like Zach LaVine? Why is this not the right signing?
I mean, like I said, we're availability is very important right now. We've seen what not being available did to our young guys last season. Even though they grew, we've seen what happened last season. That first half of the season before All-Star was absolutely horrid. We need guys that are going to be available. Full point blank plain. We need them to be available, especially if there's going to be a high-priced guy. Zach LaVine is a true light skin. He's a little prima donna, but like I said, I don't want to. No, I'm good, man. I'll pass. Pass for me.
Same. I pass too.
I listen. It's not passing on what Zach LaVine is on his upside. It's being afraid of what comes with that contract, because we've seen what happens when you pay that type of star at that age, when you're not really. And the other thing too, it just doesn't fit the timeline of what our books are. Like the one thing you don't want to do with a salary cap is make it look disjointed, make it not make sense. The books need to flow together in order for everything to come together and ultimately win a championship. Like Neil Rule always talks about the importance of the salary cap and the importance of the books, but it's true. At the end of the day, like a lot of these teams, you look at Miami, they're gonna go into next season. They feel good about what they did, but at the same time, there's not much room to grow because they have a ton of money and shitty contracts, and so they can't expand and grow their team. That's just the Pistons are about to have flexibility for the first time in a long time. So we've seen what bad contracts can do. Let's not go out there with a guy, because the difference is if we sign a guy like Ayton, at least he's tradable because he's still a young center with a lot of upside and talent.
Right.
LaVine, on the other hand, if he's injury ridden, and the other thing, if he's expensive, if he's getting older, that doesn't get very trade friendly, especially if the money's big.
Yeah. So I feel like if you really want Zach LaVine, grab Shaedon Sharpe then. If that's the route you want to go, somebody who can be that type of player. But I don't think it's worth it to go and throw that much money into a guy who's already proven to be injury prone, like I mentioned.
Right. Exactly. And like we say the same thing about like I know Colin Sexton's another name that's thrown around of someone that we could potentially sign. Well, if we would sign Colin Sexton, why wouldn't we just draft Jaden Ivey or Shaedon Sharp? Because
Right, exactly.
because are those guards not the higher upside version of what Colin Sexton is? I mean, like I know Sexton had a year where he averaged 24 points a game, but at the same time, the Cavaliers were nothing that year. You look at why they were able to swap in Darius Garland, and his play significantly boosts the Cavaliers when he's given the primary ball responsibilities, because the difference is that he's more of a playmaker. He's more of a winning type player, whereas Sexton's a guy that can just fill the basket with a lot of points. So, not saying that
imagine getting Jalen Green instead of Kate Cunningham, and then it all makes sense.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I really am starting to think about the importance of like bringing in guys that like truly affect winning, Yep. And that's the thing, is like when you're building your core, because listen, man, I'm not built to be the type of fan where like I could never be a fan of a team that is never trying to actively win a championship.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the thing I love about the Pistons organization is that we're always looking through the lens of building a championship team at the end of the day, especially with what Troy Weaver's doing. He's looking to build a champion, and the Pistons have winning culture. I couldn't be a fan of some of these teams like the Kings, where it's like, look, we just need to make the playoffs. Like, we haven't done it in 20 years. Like, I know we're in a bad spot too. I'm not saying we're this great.
It's different.
Yeah, but it's different, right?
The trajectory is changing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But I'll just say, before I pass off, but with looking through that lens, I can get very selective of who I want in a Pistons uniform.
For sure. I can't remember the last time I've been this excited about free agency in just the offseason. I cannot remember the last time I was excited. Got to go back 15 years, maybe 16 years, when the Pistons were really in the Eastern Conference Finals every year, and you're thinking about, okay, who are they going to get to add this season to help us get over the hump? That's probably the last time I was this excited about a Pistons offseason. So I'm really looking forward to see what Troy does.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's a lot of different routes that we could take, but also let's be realistic and let's be honest about it. Because if the Pistons decide to take the route of going conservative and saving money, that's not a bad offseason either.
Yep.
So, King, do you think this time next year we're going to be having another conversation about the draft lottery?
No, absolutely not. I expect the Pistons to take a step forward and really, really fight for those bottom positions for the playoffs. Like I said, availability is going to be a big thing this season.
Yeah.
If we don't run into a lot of people like to paint the Pistons as a worse team than what they actually really were. Mm-hmm. They were an inexperienced team, and they were a team that didn't have veterans available for half the season, pretty much. So that late start, and like I said, when we did get past the All-Star break, we started to see that team come together. The more they were available on the floor, we started to beat some real playoff teams. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, I don't think the Pistons are as bad as people really paint them to be. So I expect them to, with the additions that we make this offseason, I expect them to take the next step forward and really fight for that play-in position next year.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, I feel like the Pistons are going to be one of those sneaky teams. You know what I mean? Like next year, come playoff time, they're not going to want to play us. You know what I mean? They're going to be hoping we don't make the play-in or the playoffs, because they're like, remember those guys who played them earlier this season? Yeah, I don't want 7 games. So I think and that's because a lot of teams and people just don't watch the Pistons. So I think we're going to be one of those sneaky teams that once they get into the playoffs, they're going to be remembered.
Yeah. They're going to be one of those teams, in my opinion, that a quarter of the way through the season, we're going to be like, oh, Pistons have some guys. Yeah. I think bringing in a guy like whoever we get in the top 5 this year. And again, we don't know what Troy Weaver is going to do. We have no idea what that opening day roster is going to be. And that's the exciting thing, because for the first time in years, last year, we had a pretty good idea of who was going to be there opening day. Even after the lottery, it was like, it's going to be Cade, and then pretty much everyone else from last year.
Yep.
But now we could see some significant shifts and significant moves and significant pieces be played. This is when Troy Weaver can really start to truly build the team around that core.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the exciting thing. And what our definition of our core is could change too. But with that, I do want to get to someone did mention the game one start. Wait, it does? The final starts tonight?
I thought it was tomorrow.
Of course it does. Yeah, we got it up. We're gonna end when the game's really starting. But guys, Celtics Warriors. We're at the finals.
Ooh.
The only thing that's better than the NBA finals is when the Pistons are in the NBA finals.
Yeah.
But regardless, we still love the finals.
Yep.
Deuce, I'm gonna start with you. Who do you got? Warriors or Celtics?
Man, to me, this is so close. This is so close to me.
Yeah.
I can't wait to just watch this series, man. I'm not mad at whoever anybody picks. Let me just get that out the way. If you're a Warriors fan, if you think the Warriors gonna win, cool. If you think Celtics gonna win, cool. I see both sides of it. I really do. It's that close.
You're being very diplomatic right now, Deuce, and I really I appreciate it.
I am.
Mm-hmm.
Stop being nice. Give it to us.
I think the Celtics are gonna pull it off.
Woo! Okay.
I think the Celtics are gonna pull it off. I think Ime Udoka has something up his sleeve, man. I don't know. I feel like it's gonna remind me of if it happens, it's gonna remind me of Pistons Lakers in a sense.
Yeah.
The team nobody is expecting to win.
Yeah.
And I think I could see it happening. I really could. I look at the length of just the whole team from top to bottom. Even Marcus Smart, 6'3", 6'4". He's not a little guy. He's not Kyle Lowry. You know what I mean? He's a big guard. They can switch everything. I'm just thinking about Jason Tatum. I think this is his time.
Oh, he's so good. I want to remind people there was a NBA Finals that happened about 7-8 years ago now, where LeBron in Cleveland at the beginning of the season looked like the dominant favorite, and it was their year. And then they eventually, they dealt with some health issues, had some difficulties, but at the end of the day, when they get to the finals, they play this team that it's never been there before. They don't have the experience that the other team has. And so ultimately, this Cavs team's going to beat the Warriors. But instead, this Golden State Warriors team, underdogs, young players that have never been there before, don't have finals experience. Boy, remember when we had to say that? Yep. But having said that, King, that doesn't change who Boston's got to face on the other side. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole. If it's the Splash Brothers, when Jordan Poole's firing, I like to call it Splash Mountain because it's almost insurmountable. But King, where are you leaning? Who's winning the NBA Finals?
Okay.
I already know who he got. Yeah, let's go.
I got the Warriors in 6.
Okay.
Warriors in 6. Okay. What's the X factor to this series for you?
Number one, every playoff series is different.
Yep.
Everyone is different.
Mm-hmm.
The Warriors have been more consistent in the playoffs than Boston. I've seen Boston win games they had no business winning.
Yep.
Okay. So one thing I'm going to need from Boston to do is to be consistent. And also, we cannot have Marcus Smart going in and out of the games with these little injuries.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
They're not going to give you a chance. You got to be flawless, man.
Yeah.
So, that's what scares me about the series. I got to go with Golden State based off of, it's Steph Curry in the finals. I mean, we got to give it to him, man. Steph is Steph. You know what I'm saying? We got Klay Thompson. We got Poole. And for what it's worth, Draymond to go out there and get you 9 to 10 assists. You know what I'm saying? So
let me ask you a question real quick. Do you envision any scenario where the Warriors win and Steph Curry is not the finals MVP or no?
No.
Or do you think he's going to be the one definitively to win Finals MVP if they win? Okay.
Yeah, because usually Clay is only like, a one-off guy. You know what I'm saying, in playoff series. He is one specific game where he just goes off.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
The game's just Clay.
Yeah, right. Curry's going to give it to you, the entire series. That's just going to happen. Yeah, I don't think nobody takes that from him.
Yeah. Jordan Poole.
Congratulations to him to be the first to win the Magic Johnson Award.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, man, like I said, it's not like he got to go against LeBron. Boston, they some young pups. That's not a shot, Deuce.
Oh no, I hear you. I feel you. I get it. That's what I'm saying. You heard my preface in the beginning, bro. It's like
I think the young pups, man, they the goal, this year, get to the finals. I think they've obviously they've done that, but I think in order to win it, I think we may have to see them, a second, third time around.
Okay.
Now, before I get to my finals prediction, shameless plugs. I wrote an article today about DeAndre Ayton on Woodward Sports, so go check that out. It's available up there. But also, be sure to subscribe to From Half Court. We're over 1,100 subscribers, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all so much for the support there. Absolutely booming. And we have a big announcement tomorrow morning. So, little tease there. Be sure to be on the lookout. So, with that, I've been going back and forth, ladies and gentlemen. And the more I think about it, the more I keep going back and forth, because my rational basketball mind goes with experience, goes with what I've seen before, right? It's hard to imagine a team being good enough to beat the Golden State Warriors in a finals, because I've only seen two guys do it. I've only seen Kawhi do it. I've only seen LeBron do it. But these Boston Celtics, man, I understand that they just played a really ugly Eastern Conference Finals. However, they played a really good physical Miami team. And this Boston team, for whatever reason, man, even though they are inconsistent, they infuriate you at times watching them, because there's just times where it looks like a bucket. They couldn't even buy one. However, for whatever reason, they can always steal a game or two on the road. They can always keep it competitive and close. They can always force pressure on the defensive end to make your job even harder. And so with that, I got the Celtics in 7.
Ooh, yes, sir. Let's go.
It's going to go down to game 7.
Let's go.
I think we're going to see Jason Tatum make some of the craziest shots of his life. And I think when the lights are brightest, we're going to see him cook.
I love the courage. And, let's be honest, man. I would love to see the Celtics win the finals, man, because it'll speak to defense ain't dead in this league.
Yep. And that's what I'm putting my horse on. In my opinion, I think Boston offensively, first of all, I mean, obviously Jason Tatum can cook, and him and Curry could both be the best players in this series.
Yeah.
But also, I think what Boston brings on the defensive side of the ball is just too overwhelming. And I think in Golden State, the only team that they've played that's been like this Boston team is the Memphis team that gave them hell without John Morant. So I'm just saying, this could be a really close series.
And if you remember, when Steph got hurt this year, it was at the expense of Marcus Smart, not on purpose.
Yep.
But that's just the kind of player that Marcus Smart is. And this is the finals now. He's been trying to get here for a long time. He's been trying to get – LeBron has been standing in his way for a long time, and Giannis standing in his way. As soon as LeBron leaves, here comes Giannis. And they've been trying to get there the whole time. So he's really been waiting for this moment, and I think he's going to leave everything out there on the floor.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, guys, I'm going to start wrapping up the stream because the game has begun. I do want to allow everyone the opportunity to go watch the finals. But, hey, enjoy the finals, but more importantly, subscribe to Everything King. Follow my guy Downtown Deuce on Instagram, on Twitter, follow my guy King on Twitter at Everything King as well. Also, be sure to follow myself at Sean Halfcourt. Be sure to subscribe to From Halfcourt because there's a lot of content going on there as well. But also, most importantly for tonight, subscribe to Woodward Pistons, man. Join the movement. We're going to be live each and every Thursday. We generally go longer than this, and we generally have our general Kool-Aid with us. However, tonight's a little bit different.
Shout out to
But we are
Kool-Aid.
still glad we were able to join. Shout out Kool-Aid. We love them. We love y'all too, man. Thank you to everyone that came in and joined. Go enjoy the NBA Finals, and we will catch you next time here. Subscribe to Woodward Pistons, baby.